don't usually get to preach on 2 consecutive weekends because I find that as a kind of new preacher, I need all that time in between sessions to come up with what I think is a good idea and what I'm going to talk about. But I figured if the Patriots can play Sunday and then Thursday, I can suck it up and do 2 weekends. So having done the homilies at my last parish last weekend for my last Masses and then all of the Masses here, I rushed home Sunday after Mass, looked at the readings for this weekend, came up with what I thought was a good idea when I went to bed Sunday night. And then like all of you, I woke up Monday morning to the tragedy that happened in Las Vegas. And I thought I have to scrap that idea. And I think we need to talk about, or at least I need to talk about the evil that exists in our world and how are we to deal with that as Catholic Christians. So that became a new struggle for me on Monday morning. And as I thought more about it, I said, it would be nice if the readings of the weekend could lend me some help. It's always good to start there. So I went to the readings, and I didn't have to get any further than the second reading we heard today from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians. He begins with, have no anxiety in anything. And as a highly anxious person, especially with public speaking, I looked at that and said, yeah, easier said than done, until I remembered that St. Paul was in prison when he wrote this and under the threat of execution. And yet he's still writing to his community, have no anxiety in anything. And then his next line tells us how to overcome that. It says, bring all of our needs and petitions to God in prayer with thanksgiving. So we're supposed to thank Him for everything that we've got while we deal with the troubles of the world and bring that to Him, and then He's going to bring us His peace. And so then as I watched the news develop through the week, I started reading the news articles, I started watching the debates, and then of course I went to Facebook, and not being a big fan of Facebook, I still went there to see what was being discussed. And as I noticed what was happening, I saw the things that we normally do that divide us. I saw the labels being kind of corralled with the Democrats on one side, the Republicans on another, the pro-gun control people on one side, and the pro-Second Amendment people on another side. And I focused on these labels that we put on ourselves and on others that do nothing but tend to identify us in a certain group and kind of say what we believe or compartmentalize us. I even noticed someone at the 8 o'clock Mass, I almost singled him out, he had a New York Yankees shirt on. Another label that we put on people, a Yankees fan. But those labels aren't what identify us. They're not our identity. Our identity, first and foremost, is a child of God. We don't come to this planet. We're not birthed as a Republican or a Democrat. We don't come out of the womb with an opinion on the Second Amendment. We come out as children of God. And then as baptized Christians, we're heirs to the kingdom of God. And so to me, that's where I think our focus needs to be, both on ourselves and developing our opinion. One thing we're so ingrained in our opinions that we might not reflect on how do we develop that opinion. And maybe we need to look at that with respect to us being baptized Catholics, heirs to the kingdom of God. And is our opinion in line with what we profess in our faith? And like I always say about homilies on Sunday, if they don't matter on Monday morning, if it's just this hour that we're here, then I failed you and I failed myself. Because if I'm not thinking about that Monday morning, even though I do this homily 4 times, I failed myself in what I've said for a message. So I also need to reflect on that. And so that's the challenge for this week, is to look at our own opinions and reflect on them as a child of God. But more importantly, I think it's focusing on the people that we deal with that don't share the opinions we have, that we place those labels on. Maybe the challenge this week is to find that person, whether it's at work or in your family, that you don't necessarily agree with their opinion, and it's the first thing that comes to mind when you encounter them. And instead, remind yourself of Sunday and look at them as a child of God and see if that can change how you look at someone, how you treat them and interact with them.